Okay, now moving on to a question we have from Donnie V saying, now that vintage has become a snake's pit of counterfeits, refinished dials, vicious speculation, and arguably a value bubble, plus an off-putting snob fest, and I happen to agree with all of this, Donnie. Unfortunately, it is true. What are the next generation collectibles for those of us who want to buy ahead of the curve, who want to look at like the 15 to 25-year-old watch, not the 40 to 60-year-old watch that's already worth a ton? Okay, Donnie, you've got options. Let me take you on a tour of watches that you can buy in every case for under $10,000 and in many cases for under $6 or $7. So start with the Zenith Elite Rainbow Diver. This is the one you want to buy now. Also known as the Zenith Mango Diver. There were other versions of the Zenith Rainbow. This one came out in 1998. It was made till about 2001. Now, they only made 470 of the El Primero chronograph version of this watch. From what I understand, only a few hundred of the Rainbow time-only dive model with the Mango dial were constructed. So 39 millimeters, so it's got a classic size, 9 millimeters thick, so it's also slim, 200 meters water resistant with a unidirectional bezel. Others were made, but the Mango dial is the future ace. It's the one to buy now before they go crazy. Now, Elite caliber 680 inside, automatic 50-hour power reserve. It has hacking, which no Zenith El Primero chronograph until the Dayfly 21 has. And it also has a unique bi-directional quickset that sets in both directions, so that's kind of cool and different. Comfy bracelets add value. The watch was sold on both a bracelet and a strap. Get it on the bracelet because it would cost a lot more to buy separately. It will add durability to the experience. I feel like a leather strap on a dive watch is kind of cutting your options short. You want to be able to dive with a dive watch or at least go swimming. Also adds resale value. Even if you want to get it on the strap, buy it with the bracelet and then fit the strap. What are you going to pay? You're going to pay $2,000 to $3,500 US. Again, the time to buy is now. Collectors already know about this one, but the speculators haven't figured it out yet. Okay, Breitling Navitimer Spatiographe. In 4 years of working in watches, I've seen one. It was with a guy who was a prolific vintage collector, and he would not sell this. He would sell anything in his collection except this because he said he liked to fly with it. It had sentimental value. This is the one he kept, and long-term, he might be onto something. This watch was made from 1997 to about 2001, 2002. It was a caliber 36, which is old school because like the old reference 2005 slow chronograph, the Super Ocean dive chronograph from the 60s, this was a movement that was a ETA base modified. In this case, it was an ETA base modified by Breitling. So there's actually some Breitling watchmaking here. And it counts down from 10 minutes. It was designed to be used by pilots to count down to a landing. So it counts down from 10 minutes in 30-second steps. And it steps every 30 seconds as it counts down. 41.5 millimeters in stainless steel or yellow gold. Several variants were made, including steel and yellow gold as chronometers after 2000, and steel and yellow gold pre-chronometer, so basically from 1997 to 1999. So you're going to want to look at both silver and black dials, both index and numeral dials. And yes, it came on both straps and the 7-link Navitimer bracelet. As always, I say if you're buying a collectible watch or you're just buying in general, always get the bracelet and then put it on a strap if you prefer, because the bracelet adds value and would cost more to buy separately. Plus, because we are talking about future collectible watches, the bracelet is going to be the one for the collector. Okay. I can't believe this watch is still cheap. IWC Ingenieur 3508, the famous 500,000 ampere per meter, made from roughly 1988 to about 1992. This was the first ultra-aggressive anti-magnetic watch. It was a unique caliber 35790 based on an ETA 2892A2, extensively modified by IWC and excruciatingly handmade. The assortment, so your lever, your escape wheel, your balance were all created from amagnetic, not anti-magnetic, amagnetic materials. And the hairspring itself was actually made of niobium-zirconium. In the process of trying to make those hairsprings, IWC had to throw out most of them. So they wound up between 1988 and 1992 making somewhere between about 1,400 and 2,800 of these in all versions. And there are a couple of dials. There's a version on a strap, there's a gold version. They're so rare. They didn't make many if you take all versions combined, but you take the individual versions, there can't be more than a few hundred of the most popular, which would be this version, the 3508 in steel on a bracelet. They are 34 millimeters in diameter, but with the integrated bracelet, lug, and case, they wear more like a 36, so don't be scared off. This is an imposing and important borderline vintage watch that is historically significant, hugely collectible, and you're going to pay $3,500 to get into one at the bottom of the market. You're going to pay $5,500 for one in steel with a full boxed set. So a full set, you're only going to pay about $5,500 US. All right, our last speculative collectible, the collectible of tomorrow, is the Vacheron Constantin Overseas Generation 1. This is the one to buy if you're a collector, because made from 1996 to 2003, this is the rarest generation. Generation 2 is the most common. Generation 3 is going to be massively produced for a long time. Generation 1 was made before Vacheron had extensive worldwide distribution, so very few were made. By the way, how killer is that blue military dial? Now, reference 42040 and 42042 were the two automatic references. They're my choice to buy. 37 millimeters in steel, that's the way to get it. They were designed by Vincent Kaufman, who later became the first director of art design in-house at Vacheron, and a designer named Dino Modolo, who at the time frequently worked as a freelancer with Vacheron. It was inspired by the Model 222 of 1977, and you can see the family resemblance. I would say 37 millimeters in stainless steel with a hand-finished case, bracelet, and clasp. This is probably, with its hand-finished metal, the most excruciatingly detailed of the Overseas. I've seen the second generation, I've seen the third. More time went into finishing this, and you can see the polished creases between the links. I would say as much time was probably spent on this case and bracelet as was spent making two Generation 2 Overseas. So I would also say you need to consider these gorgeous bracelets because they are part and parcel to the appeal. An ultra-thin watch that is a sports watch, water resistant to 120 meters, but also so slim it can legitimately be called an ultra-thin, and AP and Patek level stuff and over-engineered in the bracelet department. I would also say options include those military dials, which you saw in blue, but also in black, and a salmon dial model described as the copper dial. Some versions of this have now begun to oxidize and develop a spectacular patina that features both tritium in the versions made before 2001 and copper. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a moment, but you get a chronometer-grade Girard-Perregaux 3500 doing business as the 1310 or the 1311 Vacheron Constantin, and this was back when Vacheron made a lot of in-house modifications and went out and COSC certified it. So they start at $5,000. That's right, you're getting something, and that's what happens when that copper dial starts to oxidize. The tritium makes it even richer. But you're talking about Patek Philippe and Audemars Piguet, Nautilus and Royal Oak finish in a watch that starts pre-owned for $5,000. Right now, people are not collecting these, which means the best one in the world is still going to cost under $9,000 with full box and papers. All certificates. Buy one that has not been refinished, buy one with a full kit. Okay, so guys, questions and comments. Captain Zed, I could see myself trading the Vacheron I'm wearing right now for one. And also Thumper JDM saying, the dial is stunning in variable lighting. Eric Nielsen saying, if you have the wrist to match, then the 42040 and the bathyscaphe 38mm would be a killer pair to own. I have to agree on that front. These are awesome watches to wear if you want a traditionally sized timepiece. If you have any inkling that you want to wear over 40 millimeters, these wear like 38, 39s, but they're not going to wear like a modern Vacheron Overseas or a Nautilus. That said, they are to die for. And again, unrecognized. So Now we have a question here. This is a little bit of a silly question. Watches and movies, I'm going to indulge. Evan S. asks, and guys, by the way, keep the questions and comments coming. I'm going to post the link to our live poll again. It's Patek Philippe versus FP Journe, Nautilus chronograph travel time versus chronograph monopoussoir line sport. Okay. Tim Case, I see your question. We're going to answer Evan S.'s question first. By the way, the Nautilus is still cleaning up in this poll. Guys, vote if you haven't already. Vote again. That's the secret. You can vote twice in our polls. Okay. He asks, Evan asks, if you were to randomly associate a Rolex with one celebrity, song, or movie, what would it be? Okay, we're going to do the Rolex Submariner, but we're not going to take the easy way out, because this would be too obvious. Yes, obviously, the Submariner and James Bond. But let's get a little bit more granular, shall we, guys? Okay, specifically Thunderball of 1965. This is my all-time favorite Bond movie, and the one to which Mike Myers owes the largest debt of gratitude. So never mind that Breitling also wore a I'm giving away the game, that Bond also wore a Breitling top time modified to act as a Geiger counter. We're going to consider this a Geiger counter for the purpose of the movie. He also wore the Rolex Sub. Getting back on topic, Thunderball was a box office smash hit. Adjusted for inflation, Thunderball's box office gross was not topped until Skyfall in 2012. Now, every Bond trope and cliche imaginable is present in Thunderball. A jetpack? Absolutely. And a real one. This is actually the Bell jetpack. They used it for real in the movie. The Aston Martin DB5? Hell yeah. And there's car combat. So it doesn't just feature in the movie. You get to see the toys. This guy, come on, does it get any more classic than that? And okay, yes it does. because the movie also includes this guy, and in earnest, not as a parody. Okay, want more? How about a luxury yacht lair that turns into a hydrofoil? Okay, also included Shark, nuclear ransoming for pathetically low amounts of money, and evil henchmen, and a woman with a harpoon gun. In other words, even at Rolex prices, you get your money's worth with this one. So that's what I'm going with. Evan, great question, silly and off topic, but if I had to associate one watch with one movie, it would be the Rolex Submariner and Thunderball. So over the top, so about the box office gross, so about the revenues, and yet so undeniably classic and lovable. Okay, Rolex and